Greetings, viewers, and welcome to the art of Elderfield. For this devlog, I wanted to focus on the artwork of the game. In this two-part series, we'll be taking a look at the illustrative work of the game, as well as the pixel art of the game. But this time, we're just going to be digging into the illustrative component, that being the traditional hand-drawn illustrations that you'll see depicted in the character portrait art, the monster illustrations during the battle scenes, the news TV artwork, and the mystery artwork, as well as other miscellaneous little illustrations you'll see here and there throughout the game. In this video, I'll be talking about my influences for the art style of the game, the general art direction of that artwork, and whatever random stuff I decide to ramble about. And no, I didn't say a boot, I said about. There's a difference. The first thing you'll likely notice about the game is that it combines two very different art styles: digitally drawn pixel art and traditional pen and ink illustrations. This is a bit of a risky decision, I'll admit, as mixing multiple art styles is often a bit of a gamble, and opinions about the final product tend to vary far more than just using one consistent art style. But the decision to do this for Welcome to Elderfield was not taken lightly. Ultimately, it comes down to my primary inspirations for the game, those being classic 2D JRPGs like Pokemon, specifically Red and Blue, and a little bit of Gold and Silver, and maybe a little bit of Emerald. Final Fantasy, especially Final Fantasy VI, my personal favorite, and Harvest Moon. And the beautiful, unsettling, and captivating art of classic horror manga, such as the works of Junji Ito, Kanako Inuki, Ochazuki Nori, Hideshi Hino, and Kazuo Umez. Sorry if I butchered any and all of those names. I will continue to do so. I can't even say about properly, so don't expect me to say any of these right. While these two styles are very different from each other, my influences in both areas come from around the same time period and the same part of the world, that being the 80s and 90s Japanese media, so they at least have that in common. I also believe that as long as the two styles stay in their own lane, so to speak, their differences can help to elevate each other and create a useful contrast. What might look like an impressionistic collection of random pixels in the game world can suddenly become a beautiful NPC that you might want to marry, or a terrifying abomination. There are also several tricks being employed to make these art styles fit together a little better. The illustrated images are downscaled to fit the jagged retro look of the pixel art a bit more, and several layers of post-processing glue the layers together to help make them feel like they at least belong in the same scene. Without further ado, let's take a look at the illustrations of Elderfield. For Welcome to Elderfield, all the illustrations for things like character portraits, monsters, news broadcasts, mysteries, and more are all hand-drawn traditional illustrations. My background as a creator, first and foremost, is in traditional visual art. I've been drawing and painting since before I could hold a memory, and my formal education is in fine art, specifically oil painting. Most folks who are familiar with my online presence probably know me as a musician under the name Dated, but I've been creating artwork in some professional capacity or another for nearly 2 decades, since I was a wee teenager. Here you can see the stack. Currently, there are several hundred illustrations in Welcome to Elderfield, and they all have the same life cycle. They get sketched, usually while watching a horror movie on Shudder, scanned, and then tossed into the heap with the others. These are all drawn on 8.5 by 11 pen and ink paper, just in a sketchbook that they're torn out of. I believe it's a Canson sketchbook. First, they're all penciled with a mechanical pencil using 2B lead, and then they are inked with Japanese hard felt-tip pens and soft brush-tipped calligraphy pens, with the occasional Sharpie for good measure. From there, the line art is cleaned up and the image is digitally colored. I'm not much of a digital artist, I'll admit, so I do all of the digital editing and coloring with a mouse instead of a tablet, like, as I've been told, some kind of freak. From there, the images are downscaled with nearest neighbor scaling to get that crunchy, pixelated look that you see in the game. The art styles used for these images can vary, and certain influences can be seen more so in certain types of illustrations. But for the most part, they are all influenced by classic horror manga, and are meant to consistently evoke the tropes, motifs, and hallmarks of the genre, which has a very strong, fairly consistent visual language. This often means very intentional line weighting, the iconic slightly rotated to the side with a plain expression with a sort of horror manga face profile. Yeah, you know the one. Small repeating lines and cross-hatching used to build contrast and contour, and those little sweat droplets you always see on nervous people. I've been a huge fan of horror manga for decades, and have amassed quite a collection at this point. My love for this genre was a big part of my inspiration to make a video game in the first place. Horror manga has such an iconic visual language, and the gothic, moody, and often vignette-centric nature of these stories tend to make them a perfect fit for an RPG setting. While in North America, many horror fans are familiar with the works of Junji Ito, the genre of horror manga is rich and expansive, featuring countless classic works by iconic creators. My goal has been to try to capture elements of these iconic works and pay homage to them in a different form of media. Some illustrations are meant to evoke the beautiful, realistic art style of artists like Junji Ito, Suhiro Maruo, and Shintaro Kago. This was especially true for the portraits for the more human romanceable NPCs like Sam and Edwin, while others pay homage to the more old-school or cartoony artists like the queen of horror manga herself, Kanako Inuki, whose cartoony depictions of school children can be seen channeled in characters like the lost students of Elderfield High. Or the equally cartoonish, but generally more disturbing art style of Hideshi Hino, who you'll see haunts both silly and nightmarish portraits, like the romanceable Blorf or the haunting Schoolboy. Fans of horror manga will probably recognize the round head, big eye kind of thing. Another favorite of mine is Ochazuki Nori. They're a classic horror manga icon and a significant influence for modern artists like Junji Ito. Their work can be sketchy and almost abstract at times, while having a uniquely cinematic quality, which lends itself to both quiet landscapes and scenes of gruesome terror. This loose yet effective approach can be seen channeled especially in the many mystery illustrations, which are meant to communicate more of a feeling than a highly detailed character or object. These are just a few artists whose influences regularly creep into the illustrations of Elderfield, either by intentional design or happy accident, I could probably spend an entire video just talking about my deep love of the genre, the countless iconic artists and their influence on my artwork, and endless shelves with their hundreds of volumes and the figures and the originals and Japanese volumes. Why do I even have these? I can't read them. And the Umez shower curtain. Wait, why do I have an Umez shower curtain? And Octopus Girl. You should definitely read Octopus Girl. Maybe you shouldn't read Octopus Girl? Nah, you should read Octopus Girl. I really need another shelf. It's not good for the books to stack this way. Wait, what was I talking about again? All right. So this is the stack. As you can see, it is quite hefty. This is about 3 years of my life, 2.5, I guess, all right here. This is all of the artwork in the game, all of the monsters, characters, shop, portrait art, mysteries, news programs, miscellaneous transition and UI and whatever artwork. All right here. I genuinely do not know at this point how much art is here, how many illustrations have been made for the game. It is a hefty stack, certainly hundreds at this point. So yeah, let's flip through these and see if there's anything interesting. The one on the top, you'll probably recognize him as a monster from the old woods. These are all just Canson pen and ink sketchbook paper. I just buy these sketchbooks in big stacks and I just pencil stuff onto the pages, ink directly over the pencils, then erase the pencils, and then just rip them out of the sketchbook, scan them in, throw them in the stack, and move on. Here's some of the pieces of the shoppers that you'll probably recognize from the mall. The way these guys work is that there's a main illustration of the actual shopper, and then these just get kind of swapped on. Here is some shop portrait artwork. All of the shops and all of the mysteries in the game are drawn in little quadrants like this, so there's 4 pieces per page. And that should tell you a lot about just how much artwork is in this pile. These aren't all single illustrations. These are, in many cases, 2 or 3 or 4 illustrations on one page. There's the good old corn stalker. I don't know what this says in Japanese. A friend of mine was testing out one of my pens and wrote this, so apologies if this is some horribly offensive message. I have genuinely no clue what that says because I don't know Japanese. Some random monsters, some random news programs. Ooh. There's a classic, The Staring Lady. One of the cultists of Nezra. Hey, there's a familiar face. My personal favorite romanceable character in the game. Good old Blorf. Very influenced by the sort of Hideshi Hino art style. Oh, there's the shopkeeper. Couple more shops. Mall rat fans out there recognizing our boy here. I think the reference in this piece will be pretty clear to any Junji Ito fans out there. A little bit of a kind of nod to his work and the inspirations for the game in that monster art. Oh, this is a classic monster here. Love him or hate him. Here's some of the mystery artwork. So all of the mysteries in the game have these quadrants split up so that I can just quickly draw more mysteries using less paper. There's lots of these. We'll just skip through some stuff here, look for something interesting. Getting into some later game stuff. Try not to show anything too spoilery, so I'm kind of peeking before I shuffle through, seeing if I can find anything particularly interesting. Oh, there's something. That is the town map for the game, which is also hand-drawn. In hindsight, probably should have used a bigger piece of paper for this. There's a lot of tiny lines on here, so it was a bit of a pain in the ass to actually fit that all on here. Oh, there's a character. I'm sure this is someone out there's Bay. We got the moody librarian, Celeste. This is definitely one of my favorite characters. Originally, Celeste was not even really planned, but I was just drawing artwork for the game, and I drew this illustration, and I was like, this feels like it should be a character. So I put her in the game, and originally she was not romanceable, but so many people wanted to romance her that I decided I would just make her a full-fledged character. This is the standard sort of background template for all of the cultists. So most of the cultists in the game, this is kind of their standard layer, and then they have different faces and stuff that I have drawn on a separate image, and it gets sort of swapped onto here. There's the battle transition artwork. So this is what flashes on the screen when a monster engages you. There's some of the cultist elements that get overlaid onto the cultists. There's the good old priest right here. If you're checking in on Sundays, you no doubt recognize Father Desmond. There's the sleeping scene artwork. Originally, there was a different image that was used for sleep because originally there was not going to be character customization. You were just going to play as the kind of default customized female character. But once I added character customization, I needed a bit of a generic image for sleeping. So that's why you're covered up and suffocating by your blanket, surrounded by all of these creepy creatures. There's the eyes for when you stay up too late. Some of the tutorial artwork images. Oh, there's the bathing scene. This one's a bit of a pain because I drew it all in one layer and then had to animate it after. In hindsight, probably should have just separated the character in the shower would have made it a lot easier, but oh well. I tend to just sketch things all in one go and then figure out what I'm going to do with them later. More shop characters. And this section is a lot more spoilery, so I'm probably not going to show too many of these. Oh, though, here's a couple of the images that I had to make when the opening tutorial sequence got added. There's the tentacle, the Zartek cultist tentacle. And on these larger images back here, these are for game key art. So this one's a little bit odd in that it's just kind of the edge there, but you'll recognize this as the main key art for the game. It's bumping into my microphone, hard to get onto the the camera. I have kind of a awkward setup going right now. So there's her and our famous set of legs here. And the reason this chunk is missing is because this is the old key art from back when the game was going to have like a main heroine and you were going to play as this girl, which OG fans will recognize as the lo-fi hip-hop girl that has been used on the Ill-Advised Records channel for, oh god, I don't even want to think, like 8 years now? It's been a long time. But yeah, originally you were going to play as her, but once the switch was made to character customization, I wanted to have a less character-focused piece of key art, and so that's why we moved to this. By we, I mean me. I don't know why I say we. But rather than redrawing the whole thing, I figured I would keep the sign that's already there, keep the wheat field a little bit, and then make it so that I can just kind of layer one set of inks over the other set of inks, erase some of it, merge them together, and then recolor it, which was what I did. And then behind these, we have something a bit unusual for me, which is the images used for the opening animated cutscene. So these are all also hand-drawn, even though they look like pixel art kind of probably in the game. That's just from downsampling the images. So these got drawn as single images, then scanned in, colored, cropped out into their separate layers so that I could rotate the windmill and make the clouds scroll, which, again, huge pain in the ass. Don't know why I just drew it all in one picture. I should have drawn the clouds on a separate layer. And animators out there everywhere will be cringing thinking about turning these images into animations. This is the wheat image. You'll notice there's lots of white. Typically what I'll do is just leave it white. You often just draw a little X. That's like a classic comic book art technique, I guess you could say, which is kind of where my oldest background in art is from, is comic book art. So just gets left white, colored in black once it gets scanned in. And then, again, huge pain in the ass. Should have done separate layers, but having the missing black actually just made this easier to crop out, separate these, and then fill the back in black. So this was actually one of the easier ones. And then one of my rare moments of forethought actually did do a separate layer for this. There's also a neighborhood watch sign one, but that was actually drawn originally as a news broadcast image, so it's on a smaller piece of paper somewhere in the stack. So that's some of the illustrations for the game. Hope you found this interesting. It's kind of surprising to even look at these. They've just been stacked up, piling up next to my scanner. I kind of didn't realize just how much art is in the game at this point. It's truly a gigantic stack. So I hope you all found this interesting, and we'll get back to the video. Anyways, this has been a look at the traditional artwork in Welcome to Elderfield. Next time, we'll take a look at the digital artwork, specifically the pixel art, character sprites, and game environments. We'll talk about the influences on that side of the spectrum, the production process, which sprites I actually drew and which ones are from tile sets and other sorts of asset pack type things that have been used in the game, which there are plenty of, and how it all comes together in the game. Until then, if anything you've seen so far interests you, consider checking out the free demo on Steam, and if that's not enough, you can join the Patreon to try an alpha build that is further into development. That's all for now. Keep it spooky, and I'll see you in the next one.